Hello again, travelers and cruisers. In this video I wanted to talk about something that anyone going on a cruise, anybody that's never been on a cruise, as well as people that have been on cruises before, is something that crosses their mind at some point, and that is rough seas. Like I was saying, rough seas is something that most cruisers and future cruisers think about at least at some point. I personally have experienced multiple occasions with rough seas. Rough seas doesn't bother me whatsoever. I actually prefer rough seas, as crazy as that sounds. I just think it's a little more fun and interesting. But and I book most of my cruises in the height of hurricane season, and it's also a little cheaper going at those times, but the chance of experiencing some rough seas is greater during hurricane season. And now with that, there are some things that can happen. If you experience rough seas, you could get seasick. You could miss one of your ports of calls. My last cruise I went on, which was back in January, we did have some rough seas and we missed one of our ports. We were not allowed to go into Half Moon Cay in the Bahamas due to rough seas. The tenders, if you've never been to Half Moon Cay, the ship parks or docks, well, I guess it just floats out in the a little ways out from the island, and they bring tenders in, and then you're tendered into the island. And the waves were too rough to bring the tenders out and up next to the ship, and without possibly getting a passenger hurt or something, so they didn't want to risk it. So that is one of the things you got to deal with rough seas. I personally didn't mind. We spent an extra day in Nassau, but I like that kind of stuff. I like not having necessarily a set schedule where we're going to be. I personally would go on a cruise where they don't tell you where you're going. If there was just a 5-day cruise or something, and they just say, we'll get somewhere when we get there, it'll be a surprise. I would love that. But yeah, so that is something you got to keep in the back of your mind, is if you do experience rough seas, you may not get to go to the ports that were listed on the itinerary. Now, usually the cruise lines will make up for that. Either, give you an extra day at sea, or if they can, another day in port. Now, usually if you miss a port and you say have a booked excursion, they will refund your excursion back to you. So you really don't have to worry about that. I have gone through a hurricane. In 2012, I was in Hurricane Isaac. They do their best to go around hurricanes, but in some cases you will hit some of the outer bands of the hurricane, which is exactly what we did. Hurricane Isaac hit around New Orleans, and that's where we went out of, was New Orleans. I think we left either 2 or 3 days before it actually hit, so we had enough time to get out and away from it a little bit. So we experienced, I think it was 20-foot swells. I have a little clip, a little video that I will include in this video at the end of it, and it'll show you kind of what the seas look like. Now, the video does not show how extreme it really was. It wasn't really extreme. It wasn't really, well, to me it wasn't that bad, but you did feel constant rocking. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But you can't really get the full intensity of it that is shown through the video. But like I said, I loved it. If you like that kind of stuff, you would absolutely love it. But yeah, so I'll add some of them clips But one thing I just wanted to talk about or hear about is, what are your stories? What do you think about rough seas? Does it bother you? Do you avoid it? Do you hate rough seas? What are some of your stories with rough seas if you have experienced it? What are some tips to what are some tips to help you along if you do experience some rough seas? We were told on one cruise that always keep a full stomach and the rough seas won't affect you as much. So we always kept a full stomach. And like I said, it never bothered any of us. But yeah, so what are some of your comments? And love to hear from y'all what you all think about rough seas on cruises. And here are some of the videos I've taken while on cruises in some rough seas. And the last clip is my most recent cruise, which was in January in the Bahamas. That's the one where we missed the Half Moon Cay. But so that's a clip of that. The first couple clips are going to be from the Hurricane Isaac back in 2012. Okay, so there you go. I hope you all enjoyed that. Like I said before, leave any comments about your experiences with rough seas, whether or not you enjoy rough seas, and some tips for people that are worried about it that might help them if they encounter rough seas. So, thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button. Thanks.